Good morning, I'm Luke Brown and this is Winning Wednesday. The horse behind me is Paprika. She's from northern Arizona and she is about an 8-year-old quarter horse that came to me for training. She's can be real spooky. She was started back when she was 3 or 4 or something, and was ridden some, but it hasn't been ridden in 3 or 4 years, and came to me because she's real reactive to tarps, like you see that tarp behind me. She's very reactive to that. In fact, yesterday when I picked that tarp up off of the fence, when I was holding on to her, she pulled away with intention to get away, and she did get away from me in this round pen, and I had to catch her again and went through it 3 or 4 times before I finally got her to where she wouldn't pull away from me when I pulled that tarp off of the fence. So she has some challenges with that, but she's learning really quickly. Very intelligent mare, has a great demeanor, great disposition to her, and I'm excited to be working with her. And today for Winning Wednesday, I want to talk about asking the right questions. When you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers. And Mark Rashid said that, something like that, in his book, Consider the Horse. It's a book that I'm reading right now, and a great book. He's got some great books out there, Mark Rashid does. I think he lives up in Wyoming. He's a great horseman and author. And I've been thinking about asking the right questions over this past weekend and this week. Now, last weekend I did a house call with Luke with a client of mine who had a horse that was difficult to catch. And I noticed that this client was very, very concerned about why her horse was difficult to catch. And I believe that it's very important for us to understand the motivation behind a horse's behavior, but not necessarily what happened to create the motivation behind the horse's behavior. Hopefully that makes sense, but let me explain it a little bit further. Maybe a horse has a past of being beaten, for example, and that's definitely not the case in hers, at least not for the last few years in her case with her horse, since she's on the horse. But sometimes a horse might have had an accident in a trailer, and so now they don't want to go in a trailer. Or maybe they just thought they were going to have an accident or thought their life was in danger in some situation or some scenario, and that caused them to then be fearful of that situation or scenario. And so, or, there are many reasons, many things that could happen to a horse inside their mind or actually physically happen to them to cause them to behave a certain way. And those behaviors, we'll say those are behaviors that we don't like. We're trying to correct those behaviors and correct those problems. And so many times I find that owners of horses, are trying to think. They utilize all their energy, all their thought process to try to figure out what might have happened to that horse. What was the thing that happened to that horse to make the horse act the way they are? And I think that a better question to ask is, what is their motivator? So it might be fear, it might be just plain disrespect, it might be anger, but there's a certain motivator. It might be pain that could be motivating them to not do something or to do something like buck or not get in the trailer or whatever it is. So I like to ask the question, what is their motivator? What is causing them to not do it, to not do the behavior that I want? Not what happened to them in their past that is causing behavior that I don't want. I want to just find out what the motivator is, because that's really all we can pretty much figure out when I'm working with a horse. I can figure out, does this horse have pain? Does this horse have fear? Does this horse have disrespect, or is it showing disrespect? I can kind of figure most of that out on most horses. Once I know their motivating force, that motivating emotion, then I can work with that problem based on that emotion. But too often I see people who are trying to think about what happened to make the horse the way they are, and it's a constant story that they tell themselves over and over and over, and give their horses a pass, basically a hall pass or whatever, that for their behavior. So allowing their horse to have a certain behavior because of what might have happened to them in the past. In reality, it's not what has happened to them or to us in the past. What matters is what's our motivating emotion, and how can we correct that emotion through our own training or through the training with our horses. I hope that helped for you today, and I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday and a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon.